Welcome. This is the All Sports Betting Podcast. I'm Steve Wyss. I'm joined by Kevin Harper. We continue our Cricket World Cup 2019 match previews. So, Kev, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad, Steve. I think we should give ourselves another pat on the back, shouldn't we? Yeah, we've delivered yet another profit on Thursday. Looking forward to a good weekend of winning bets. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Nearly a full house, wasn't it? About just 10 runs short for Shakib Al Hassan, or 10 points short. It was a bit unlucky there. I think, the bet I had was ridiculously easy. There was about mid 60 fours in the game. And the handicap was right to the wire. He won by half a run, but it always felt like it was going to come in.
Yeah, disappointing with Shakib, but balanced out by how close the handicap was in the end. I mean, like you say, the fact that we only got the run off the penultimate ball of the innings, made it look a bit closer than it was. I thought Bangladesh put up a decent fight. Unfortunately, 2 injuries for the second day in a row, injuries that are undiagnosed to us when we do these podcasts, have kind of cost us a little bit, because I probably would have bet a little smarter if I knew Saifuddin in particular wasn't going to play, because that let Australia get just a little bit too far away from Bangladesh, didn't it, sadly?
Yeah, it did. But, I think that might be the last we see of Trent Bridge in this tournament. I'm not 100% sure if they've got another game or not, but they've had quite a lot of them. We're now moving to quite a lot of different venues. The North is getting a fair slice of pie now. And Headingley has its first match on Friday, England against Sri Lanka. I suppose I better do the ground report here, hadn't I, Kev? But what are your thoughts about the North getting quite a lot of games soon?
Yeah, no problem with it, Steve. Yeah, we need to differentiate that. Northern wickets don't play as well by and large as southern wickets do. There's no bias or anything in that. It's just a fact. If you look at Taunton, you look at the Oval, you look at Southampton, these are all high-scoring grounds. We're coming onto grounds now where conditions come into play a little bit more, but we'll discuss that as and when we come along. We've still got the odd game in the south to enjoy. We haven't even seen Lords in the tournament yet, so lots to come. We'll still navigate it nicely.
So, I mean, you'd have seen England-Pakistan here at Headingley earlier in the spring. What did you make of the new stand?
I think it's a football stand, isn't it? Pretty much. I mean,
it's a unique one for those listeners. It's actually Headingley Cricket Ground backs onto the Rugby League ground, and the stand is shared by both stadiums. So one side you've got the cricket, and the other side you've got the rugby. And I don't know, was it open for the Pakistan match? I don't think it was, actually.
Yeah, it was first game. First game.
So it's back. It's open. And I think what it has done, it's reduced the dimensions of the ground in that area. You're running downhill anyway, and I think it's quite a short boundary now, straight down the wicket Headingley. Now, one thing I'll say about Headingley is it's the key is not to look down; it's the key is to look up at the skies with Headingley, no matter what the format of the game, especially Test cricket. But even in one-day cricket, you've got to look up. If there's clouds, it can still have an effect here. But the weather forecast is very good for Friday at Headingley.
It's one day of sunshine for the year, isn't it?
Well, it certainly looks out here with the forecast. And it's not really rained that much in the last 2 or 3 days around these parts. So I think the outfield will play all right. It's a very balanced outfield, the rest of the ground. There's nothing too big, but there's nothing that small either. But I always say here, if whatever sort of batsman you are, everyone has the shots they prefer. There's a boundary for you here if you want to target one. You don't tend to see that many sixes, but it's the sort of ground where if someone gets their eye in, they can really take it to the cleaners. You can get a lot of that here, where it's a few low scores and a few high scores, but expect most of the runs to be on the ground. England and Sri Lanka, then. I mean, this is a real mismatch, isn't it? Sri Lanka have been horrible all tournament. A little bit better against Australia last time out. Some hope for them at the top of the order. But are we ever going to see this sort of mid to low order resistance from Sri Lanka, or is it going to continue to be a pack of cards?
Well, I mean, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? Just not. I mean, obviously, we're both English. Probably want England to win, but still want to see a game of cricket at the end of the day, don't you? Especially when we're betting on it and betting on things that we need lengthy things to come from. I mean, they can all bat. I mean, part of the problem that they've got is the batting lineup. I mean, what on earth are they doing? Was it number 8? Dananjaya De Silva came in against Australia, 16 not out, ran out of partners. I mean, give yourself a chance. The guy's clearly in a bit of form. Scored 4. I mean, I highlighted all of his scores, didn't I, when I took him on Saturday? You know, Angelo Matthews can't buy a run. Doesn't even look like scoring a run. Okay, fair play to them. They brought Melinda Siri Wardina into the side, guy who I actually really rate. But, you know, it's his first game in, and even he batted above Dananjaya De Silva. This guy's in form. He'd also taken wickets in the first innings, hadn't he? So his confidence was high. Don't bat him there. Give yourself a chance, for crying out loud. And they're not. They're just not doing that, Sri Lanka. And that's the real disappointing thing, because there is talent in some of these players. But, you know, someone like Dananjaya, an all-rounder, he can't deliver anything at number 8 when after him's Lakmal, Malinga, Pradeep. You know, I mean, you can't even hold a bat, let alone use the damn thing. So it's just frustrating. I mean, there is resistance in them. Who knows? It might come here. I mean, if you look at the last ODI these two played, albeit it was in Sri Lanka last year, they put up 360 against England, so they can score against England. Only difference in the bowling attack here to the one that was there, Jofra Archer. Obviously, conditions different. That was in Sri Lanka. This one's in Headingley, although they probably see as much rain over the course of the year as Sri Lanka. But yeah, I'd like to see some resistance, to answer your question, but it's guesswork whether we will.
I mean, I have to say, if there was any decent, reliable batting attack coming against England here in this match, I'd be taking all sorts of overs in terms of runs, boundaries, the lot. Anyone, any side, even like West Indies or Pakistan again, Bangladesh all day long. But Sri Lanka and Afghanistan just haven't got the batting in them in this tournament at the moment. They're getting blown away. So there's a massive amount of guesswork about who's going to do what first. I wouldn't actually be surprised to see England bat first, whatever, just to get some more of their players into scoring as many runs as they can, really. I don't see England going to win. England are going to win the game easily, surely, aren't
they? Yeah, you would think so, yeah. They're firing on all cylinders now, aren't they? I think they've got 4 out of the 10 Centurions in the tournament. I think I'm right saying that. Roy, Root, Morgan, Butler, yeah, 4. You know, which is stark contrast to Sri Lanka, who haven't had one yet, albeit Karunaratne would have got one had he not started slogging with the tail against Australia the other day. Yeah, all things being equal, England are going to win the game, aren't they? They've got the better bowling attack. They're twice as good fielding side, and the batting comparisons just are not there, are they? I mean, Sri Lanka are playing with a 2-man batting lineup at the minute. England are batting down to 9, realistically. So, yeah, you would think England are going to win. I don't see any demons in this pitch league, whether it's cloudy or not. I just don't think these balls are swinging. You know, you just hope whoever wins the toss isn't alerted to the green grass. That's naturally going to be on the pitch. This is the first game of the tournament on the square. I think it's got 4 matches, so the square's going to have to hold up over the next week or so. So there will be green grass on the pitch, but been green grass on every single pitch we've seen at the start of this tournament, and I ain't seen a ball move off the seam yet, apart from when it's slower balls or cutters. So yeah, both captains need to be brave and bat first. But obviously, if we're betting, we really don't want Sri Lanka batting first, do we?
No, we don't. I mean, I'm going to kick us off with some bets here. I mean, first of all, I will say I was very tempted to take over 49.5 fours. I do like this fours market. And additionally, England over 27.5 would perhaps be safer, but I would absolutely do my fucking nut if Sri Lanka were batting first and collapsed and got nothing, or got really close. They've not even hit more than 24s in a match yet in this tournament. And just if they're going to have a good day with a bat, I think it will be here. I mean, I think it's going to be all set up for a nice day for them. Not a massive score, but they can get 250 on here, in my opinion. But I can't rely on them. So instead, I'm actually looking to England in their first 10 overs to score more than 59.5 runs. Now, the other day against Afghanistan, they were quite slow in the first 10. Only got 46 runs. But I think that was a bit of an unusual thing. England are usually a bit more proactive. I said before, you can definitely score runs early on at Headingley. There's a lot of boundaries that you can access when the fields are up. And England have got Vince Bairstow, route in that top three, who are very good. They can put a bad ball away very well. Bairstow's very proactive. Vince will play his classy shots. More on him in a minute. It's not asking a lot, is it, really, to get 60 runs in 10 overs. England got 95 against Pakistan here in the 10 overs. And in reply, Pakistan, I think they were like 0 for 3, weren't they, or whatever, or something ridiculous. And even they managed to get 55 off their 10. It's,
it was that game, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember it now, yeah.
It's a good place to score early on, Headingley, I think. And England, whatever they do, whether they bat first or especially if they bat second, I think we'll get 60 runs in the first 10.
Certainly nothing in the opposition bowling attack that's going to stop them, is there? I mean, I've mentioned it a few times. Millinger's been disappointing with the new ball. Yeah, like you say, perfect scoring conditions, batsmen on their home ground. Nothing not to like about that one.
Yeah, England have got a couple of Yorkshire players in the top three, Bairstow and Root, and you like Joe Root to tuck in front of his home fans.
Yeah, I do, Steve. Yeah, it's the only bet I'm having in this match. I had a real problem finding bets, if I'm honest. I think regular listeners and people who've been reading my website when we've not done podcasts will know that I like to load up the bet slips when terms are in my favour, but I just don't feel comfortable doing it here, I've got to be honest. This is only game 27 of 48, so it's not like we're trying to prize the last few points out of the market, is it? We've got another 21 games to play after this, and there's some juicy ones to come at grounds that we think we can tuck into. So, yeah, just Root over 44.5 runs for me here, Steve. Like you just said, it's his home ground. He'll know every inch of this. I mean, he's been there since he was a boy, isn't he? He's only played 5 ODIs here, but he's got 2 centuries and an 84 in that Pakistan game that you mentioned earlier in the summer. You look at his scores in this tournament: 51, 107, 21. The 21 being against Bangladesh in Cardiff, which I almost scrub from the record books because there's something about Cardiff that I don't like from a batting point of view. Then 100 not out against West Indies, an 88 against Afghanistan, and that 88 against Afghanistan was the easiest 88 you're gonna ever see. What I like about Joe Root in this England side is everyone else goes bonkers around him, so he can just play at his own pace, can't he? And much kind of similar to how we see Kane Williamson do it. He's all class, isn't he, Joe Root? He's got all the shots. He's not got no ego in terms of he's got a slog and keep up with those that are around him. He knows his role. Just get the singles, build his score, and then watch Owen Morgan go ballistic, or Johnny Bairstow, or Joss Butler, or whoever it is who's alongside him. So I expect him to plod his way to a score here. I mean, you kind of mentioned scoring potential of this ground. He's kind of stole my thunder with that new stand taking away some of the boundary down that side. I mean, that greenhouse had already taken away a fair chunk of that boundary down that end, hadn't it? So that boundary is perfectly accessible. The Western Terrace side boundary is never particularly long either. So he'll get value for his shots over all of those pitches. Decent enough record against Sri Lanka. Batted against them, 22 times in ODI cricket, 650s, 2 tons. Got a 45 and a 48 in amongst that lot as well, which will obviously do us nicely here. So 10 out of the 22 times he's batted against them. He's covered, of course, in his early ODI career, he was nothing like the batsman that he is now, because England played nothing like the ODI cricket that they do now. So even a few of those innings probably null and void in terms of what meaning they have here. Same goes for anything he scored in Sri Lanka, really. Probably don't matter much here. He's in form. He's England's top batsman in the tournament. He's on his home ground. He's a class act. He's up against no bowling attack. The only way I see this losing is if Sri Lanka don't put up enough score to get him in to score 45 runs. But, realistically, you're probably only going to need 180, 190 from him for that. I think they're capable of that. I hope they are anyway. That's my only bet on the game.
Yeah, I'm joining with this one. It's a really obvious pick. To be honest with you, I think if England bat first, I wouldn't hesitate to bet on him to get a century, because I just don't think he'll get out at all. He can just play to his heart's content here. He won't be in any trouble one bit. And another Yorkshireman, I think Johnny Bairstow will go well. I'm going to take his run line over 41.5. If there's one annoyance with Bairstow, he can get out in the 30s quite a lot, or the actual 40s, which is frustrating. But I was quite pleased to see him knuckle down in the last match against Afghanistan. He wasn't stupid early on. He actually was willing to bide his time a little bit more in the first 5 or 6 overs. I think he'll be a bit more aggressive here, but that knock of 90 will have done him some good, even though it was only against Afghanistan. The bowling isn't an awful lot better here, is it? Let's be fair. And he'll be up for it on his home ground. 41.5. I thought about taking his fours line instead, which is just at 4.5 or 5.5, because usually he does score a lot in boundaries. But overall, I think I'll take his runs at over 41.5. Knowing him, I'm not saying he's going to go on big, but he could get out. He's the sort of bloke who does get out in about 50 or something with a big shot then. But hopefully he'll be sensible enough to get to 42 runs. It's all there for him, as long as he doesn't do anything stupid.
Yeah, completely agree.
What would you say? I mean, let's just talk about James Vince, because we didn't mention him the other day, coming in for Jason Roy, a very interesting batsman you know an awful lot about. Is he the right man to come into this team, Kev, or has he got a lot to prove?
Got a lot to prove, hasn't he? Yeah, absolutely. He's got a lot to prove. But that's only because of who he's replacing. But if people are expecting James Vince to be Jason Roy, they need to forget that, because he's not Jason Roy. I mean, the nearest comparison you can put him to, ironically, is someone who spent an awful lot of time on this ground when he was a player, in Michael Vaughan. He's a spitting image of Michael Vaughan. Any ball that's wide of off stump is going to get splattered for 4 in ODI cricket. I mean, he's a real good ODI batsman. I mean, he's Hampshire's linchpin. Hampshire made the final of the 50-over competition. Didn't win the final of the 50-over competition because he was preparing for this tournament when the final was on. But they did win it last year, and he was a massive factor behind that. Just a real class act. James Vince should be good enough for England in every single format. I mean, obviously, he hasn't proven it yet, but there's no doubt in his talent, that is for sure. And I hope personally that he goes big here.
Well, I do as well. I'm actually going to take a bet on James Vince. He's tempted me in here. I think the bet I'm going to take is over 3.5 fours for James Vince. He's just that sort of bloke who every innings there's at least 3 or 4 boundaries, isn't they? That just look. They're not just fours, are they? They're brilliantly classy shots. And then he might do something stupid and get out, like probably a nick behind or something like that. He doesn't tend to go early doors, does he, very often, to be fair. He always seems to get a few runs before a wicket's gone. So I think this is the best way to go. There was a very low runs line, 32.5, which we actually covered. He played in that Pakistan one day match. He got 33 that day. And I think he'll cover that. But I'd rather take these fours that he needs to hit. He's a player who likes to put it on the deck a lot. One of these will probably be a cover drive or a cut shot. Just need 4 shots for him to go to the boundary, and he's going to get the chance opening the batting with plenty of gaps in the field. So, not such a big a bet this for me, but I just can't resist James Vince here at all. I think he'll want to put himself in a position to be the absolute next cab in that rank at all times for England if someone goes down.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's already that anyway, but I mean, certainly a score or 2 whilst Jason Roy is recovering from his hamstring injury. I mean, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Jason Roy doesn't play again in this tournament. I know England are quite buoyant, but it wouldn't be the first time they've been buoyant about an injury and had to admit defeat. So, yeah, a score here for Vince would be very, very useful, not just for this, but of course, I'm sure we're going to be looking towards the Ashes in a couple of months' time, and he'll already have an eye on that because there's 3 spots up for grabs in that team.
Now then, top Sri Lanka batsman. Is there anyone that interests you in this market today?
Yeah, there's plenty that interest me, Steve. But to be honest, I've had enough of watching players piss my money down the drain. If I'm honest, like I mentioned right at the start of the podcast, they don't have their batting lineup right. Idana came into this tournament off of all of those innings that I've mentioned in the first 2 games, and he came out at number 9 when they were doing nothing. Send a pinch hitter up, do something to change the bowling, but they don't want to do it. And then lo and behold, I've found someone who's batted at 6 in the tournament so far, and he walks us in at number 8. I mean, if they're not going to help themselves, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, listen, at some point in this tournament, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Udana or De Silva top score, and when they do, this laptop that I'm currently talking into is going to end up out of a window. But I've just had enough of chucking money away, to be honest. If I had a couple of other bets on this game, that I was confident that I was going to pick up sort of 8, 9, 10 points on the game, then I'd have probably have burnt one. But I've only got one bet, and I want to make a little bit of money from the game, so I'm just going to keep the rest of the money in my pocket, to be honest, mate. What about yourself?
Well, as I'm just going with these the England first 10 overs and Bairstow runs and Vince boundaries. That'll do me. I've been looking for a big price in this game somewhere, but I just can't find one, to be honest with you, Kev. So I'll just stick with the more conventional prices, really.
Yeah, it's one of those games, mate. It really is. I mean, I went with a big price on Thursday, didn't I? Picked the wrong opener. That's how easy it is to do and how difficult it is to find. So, you know, we'll get some big price winners between now and the end of the tournament, but this just ain't the game for it, I don't think.
Yeah, a lot depending on the toss here. So anyway, well, thanks for your thoughts, Kevin. We will be back to preview Saturday's double headers in the Cricket World Cup, India, Afghanistan, West Indies, New Zealand. So we'll catch you more for then.
Cheers, mate. All the best.